All right, welcome to week 5 of Classroom Integration of Educational Technology. It is January, just kind of storm rolled over us, and February doesn't seem to be doing much different. It just seems like the time's flying by, to me anyway. Um, I don't want that to happen in the coming weeks. I want to be able to make time kind of slow down a little bit, and we'll explain why. I've already kind of told you I'm going to be on vacation for a little while, so this will be the last time you see me, probably, for a couple weeks. So let me start the presentation. Whoops, let me share my screen. And then I shall start the presentation. And we'll get going. Present. All right, so week 5, we are here. A few things Brandon and I kind of talked about that we need to cover with you. There's still a few of you turning in your portfolios from week 2, and that's fine. But we're still getting some of you who are just adding us, just sharing the site with us, and it's adding Brandon and I as a collaborator. That's okay. We can see your site, but when it comes time to start doing our peer reviews and everyone looking at each other's sites, that's not going to work. So need to take a couple of steps to make sure that you publish your site, make it public, and then share the public link out with us so that we can make it available to everybody else. The steps to take there, just when you're in your Google site, there's a big bluish purple, I don't know what color it is, publish button on the upper right. It will ask you to add an address. So it'll look weird. It'll say sites.google.com/ and then it'll be whatever's at the end of your email address. So for us, it's sedck12.org, and then a slash, and then whatever name you give it. So the address is going to be kind of long anyway. Excuse me. So pick a, but it just takes the title of your site and just kind of puts dashes in it. So if you want to shorten that up, that'd be probably good. It's because shorter addresses are better, as we all know. And then there's an option there to either share it within your district or anyone on the web. So check that, anyone on the web. And then there's a publish button to finish the publishing. Excuse me. And then once you're done with that, there is a little chain link icon up at the top of your site. Just click that to copy the public address. And then that's what you need to send to Brandon and I or put into Canvas. And I would show you that, but there's a video here. Mr. Ponder made a great little 2-minute video on how to publish your Google site. So I'll let you watch that on your own as needed, so we don't cover it here. But again, if you need help getting this done or still have questions, let Brandon or I know if you need help getting that site published. Okay. Then we've heard some things on the technology project. We want to make sure, Brandon and I are charged with making sure that this class is rigorous and you guys are actually, engaging with what you're doing and not just, kind of taking advantage of other people's work and things like that. So we're okay if some of you guys are planning on, executing the same projects. That's cool. It makes sense in a lot of cases because you guys can get together and talk and collaborate and talk about, well, this worked for me, but it didn't work for you. What did you do differently than me? So that's great. As long as, if you have the same project plan, that's great. Make sure you share your plans with us by the end of week 8. Again, if you still want to talk through the conferences, we're not making those mandatory. But if you still want to talk through your ideas and have Brandon and I give you suggestions or, watch out for pitfalls or things like that, we're happy to do that. But after, once you have your project plan, each classroom and each group of students is unique. And so the implementation process is you showing or sharing back with us examples of student work. And so if there's a group of 5 people that have all the same student work, we know you're not all teaching the same students. So that'll kind of raise a red flag with us. So all of that student work that is generated needs to be unique. Take photos of your kids as they're doing their projects or as they're working. Ask them questions about what they like and what they don't, what's going well, get their input on it. And then you can include these examples in your individual presentation that you also have to put together. So each one of those presentations based on your integration plan and your project need to be yours and yours alone as well. It's even a good idea to maybe do some interviews with your kids. Maybe just take a quick video of them with your cell phone or whatever. And if you can put those into your presentations, those would be a great way for us to see how your kids felt about it. You know, pictures are great, but video is even better. And then again, lastly, the reflection, those also need to be your own reflection on the project. Talk about, you need to review the planning and the implementation, and then as well as your thoughts about how it went during the project, what things you can do to improve or completely avoid next time around, how you can augment and build upon this work in months and years to come. So hopefully that kind of clarifies some of the issues that we're having maybe here with the technology integration projects. Questions on that? Anyone?
I have
Brand?
a question.
Yep.
Do we need to get parent permission forms for those students that we interview or that we put
If
on
you only share them with Brandon and I in Canvas, no, because you're not making it publicly available.
So how do I put that on my?
Easiest way would be to use if you're using a Google slide, that has to go to YouTube. Yeah, you upload them to YouTube and then put them into your slides. And maybe we can, in the weeks to come, maybe we can show how to do that. But if you just video them with your cell phone camera, we'll show you how to use there's a YouTube app called Capture that will actually let you just record right to YouTube as well. But if you're using the Google Drive app, you can also upload videos into Drive and then just link to them in your presentations that way. They won't embed and look, super cool, but it'll work.
Okay, so we don't need to have permission slips to video our students if we just send them to you.
Right. Yeah. If you want to share them out, put them on your website. If you put them on your portfolio website that's shared with everybody else, then yes, then you'll need
Okay.
Permission or whatever your district has as far as guidelines on that kind of stuff. But
Okay, thank you.
yeah, good question. Others? Okay. Moving on. And again, those integration projects, presentations and reflection papers are due week 11. So you've got plenty of time to work on that. And again, weeks 9, 10, and 11, there aren't any assignments due for the class, so you'll have time to be able to focus on those and get that stuff done up right near the end of the course.
And those I have met with their project plan, those are great projects, some great things going on. So thank you, keep it up, keep bouncing ideas off each other. That's a great way to do it. And the text has some great resources also with that.
Cool. Something backing up there, Brandon?
Yeah, it is. I'll mute myself again.
Just kidding. Sorry. Conferences, past and future. So Ed Camp St. George last Saturday. It was great to see a few of you that made it down for that or made it across if you were in St. George. I know Mark came, saw him from the class, so that was good to see you guys. I hear the keynote was just amazing, spectacular. Kidding, that was me. I've linked to the session notes if you're interested. If you came and didn't get that link, or if you're interested in taking a look at what was there and what was presented, there was a great session on during session 2 on Chrome extensions that I helped take the notes on, and there's a lot of really cool Chrome extensions in there. So if you jump in, that's a shared Google folder, and then each of the documents inside of there are the notes that people took during the conference. Really great format, really a lot of fun. It turned out well. If you're curious to see photos or anything, I've linked out to the hashtag there at Camp St. George if you want to see what happened and see what's going on. And then the USET conference, we talked about it last week, but I've also heard that a few of you will be going up to USET next month. That is great news. Excuse me. I am in charge of volunteers for the conference, so please help me out if you would, and click the little link there to sign up to be a volunteer. It's only for like a session or an hour or two. You'll get a cool t-shirt, And there's some other nice things you'll get. You get a little presenter, or not a presenter, but a little volunteer thank you item, and then a ticket to a volunteers only drawing for a great prize. And I need to figure out what that prize is. So you can follow the link there to learn more. It'll take you out to the USET volunteer page to learn where we need help with volunteers, and the link to the volunteer sign-up sheets there as well. But that would really, really help me out to have you guys come and volunteer, because it takes a lot of people to help put on a good conference. Questions, comments on those? All right. So the week ahead, real brief overview. I like this week. There's some I don't think it's a real tough week, which is good. We need one of those breather weeks in here. The reading is short. It's like 7 pages, and it's mostly elements 4 and 5 that were presented in weeks 2 and 3. So skim through that, review that information, take a look back at the seminar recordings from weeks 2 and 3 if you want to see teachers' thoughts and how they're implementing and doing those things. It's all about establishing classroom rules and procedures. It's chapter 3 from the book. So to see how the teachers in our course are doing that, that's a good resource for you there. So easy reading this week. The discussion this week is on 21st century tools. And you may not think of a spreadsheet as a 21st century tool, but it is. Give them a chance. I mean, you may think, oh, spreadsheets are just for making lists or organizing stuff or just doing math. But there are some really great things you can do with spreadsheets. A lot of power in there. We had a secretaries conference just yesterday for the secretaries in our region, and we spent a whole hour talking about Google Forms and collecting that information and then using pivot tables to take big sets of information and being able to ask questions like how many elementary teachers are female and wear a size extra large shirt or whatever. Just some answer more than just simple XY type of relationships. Google Sheets are a great option for kids instead of Excel if you guys are using Google Apps in your district. Kids have access to that tool anytime. They may not have Office or Excel at home, and Google Sheets are powerful enough. They do a lot of great things that Excel can do, and it's a good thing to try out. So there's a link into in the discussion there to take you to an article that talks about different ways to implement or use spreadsheets in your curriculum. Give you some good ideas there. And so the discussion question this week is, can you think of some other creative ways, or go out and Google or find some other ways that you can use spreadsheets in your class with different things that you're teaching? I'm not saying you need to use them every day, all day, for sure. But can you find some ways that you can implement them in your class? Really great tool. Right over here, you see charts and graphs over there on the right of my slide. Amazing tool to help students build charts and things to help get their point across visually rather than just with numbers. A nice thing about Google Docs is you can copy a chart from a sheet into a presentation, and not only does it copy across well, but the chart stays live. So if more information is added later on, the chart updates with the new information without having to touch the slideshow at all. So that's the discussion for this week. There's already been a bunch of people jump in there, so good.
Hey,
Yeah.
and I said that Alice Keeler is a great resource for Google for the sheets. She actually had a blog on this 2 days ago on student use for Google Sheets or something.
Will you drop that into the discussion?
Presentation.
Drop it into the discussion. Great.
You can search Alice Keeler, and great resource there.
She came to USET last year and was amazing. I stayed in all of her sessions. Yeah, she did a great job. Thank you, Brandon. And then lastly, the assignment is assessment for learning. So we're going to have you guys work on building a formative item bank this week. You're not going to write a giant question bank. Just want you to get in and start writing maybe a bank, or just so we want you to go out to the core documents on uen.org or wherever you have the standards that you're teaching. Identify 3 standards in a current or upcoming unit. Probably better in a current unit than an upcoming one, because you're actually going to have your students take these items and then reflect on how that went. So we want you to find 3 standards and then write or curate, which means find or identify 3 questions for each one of those identified standards to start an assessment bank. I don't care how you give the assessment to your students to have them try it out. If you don't have time, or if you build it for an upcoming unit, peer review, just share it with some cooperating teachers or teachers that you work with, and have them take a look at the bank and have them give their thoughts back on it. And then the assignment for this week is reflect upon the process of finding the items, making the bank, and then share the bank with us. I've linked out to a Google. We're using Google Sheets this week, right? Or a spreadsheet. So I've got a link to a template for you in the assignment that will create a new Google Sheet for you, and that's how we want you to turn in those questions. So you can give it, if you want to use UTIPs or Canvas or a piece of paper or whatever to give your assessments, that's cool. But I'd like you to turn in that Google Sheet this week with your questions. Any questions out there on the assignment or the reading or the discussion?
Hey, Clint, will you clarify really fast? So it's 3 standards with 3 questions?
Each.
Okay.
Yeah. And I updated the assignment today. I read back through and it sounded like it was just asking you to write 3 questions.
Yes.
Yeah. But if you're going to go out and find questions, it's pretty easy to find questions. There's banks everywhere, and so it shouldn't be an issue to come up with 9 questions.
Okay.
So.
And then I had a question.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what we use to create the assessment on. So
Nope. No, if you want to use a Google quiz or Canvas or yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
But to turn in, I want the questions on that Google Sheet.
Okay, so we just put the questions in the answer sheet on that too.
Yep.
Okay. And
Yeah,
our reflection on that.
So probably maybe in a Google Doc, do your reflection and then link back to your sheet and just make sure that
Okay, so
both
two
are shared
separate.
with us. If you want to turn in 2, that's fine. If you could put it on one, that would help us out when we're grading.
Okay.
Just a link to it, yeah. Either way.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Sweet. Okay, presentations. All right, so I'm going to relinquish the screen here. Any particular order? Is Rebecca and Holly ready to go? Oh, sorry. Theirs is a recording. Are they here?
I am.
Okay.
So Brandon should have it.
We do have it. Is it something that we could have people watch on their own time instead of within the presentation, or do you want to talk through it?
Oh, you could have them watch it on their own. We have audio as well, so they can watch it at their leisure.
Okay, we'll do that just to save time here and so that this doesn't get outrageously long. Is that okay, Brandon? You good with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
It is linked on the presentation and on the week overview.
Yep, linked here in the presentation, and then from the week 5 overview page, it's linked there as well. Then reviewing content. Boyd and Melissa, I know they're here, so I'm going to escape and stop sharing my screen. Wow, what kind of dog?
That was my dog. Sorry.
That's okay. I like dogs. All right, Melissa, go ahead and share your screen. And
How to do that? Where did the
so go back to the Cisco Meeting Center, click on the Quick Start on the upper left, and then you'll see the share screen button.
there. Okay, there we go.
And I'll make it full screen for the recording. So you are live.
Okay. Okay. So our element 14 was reviewing content. The first thing it suggested in the section was close activities, and I thought that was spelled wrong. I thought that was a mistake, but it's actually a thing. After some Googling, thankfully, I figured out that a close activity is where the teacher presents content or vocabulary with words or phrases missing. So this is things that they've already learned, and they're filling in. Like in this picture, that's an example of a close activity. The student's up to the whiteboard, the interactive whiteboard, or the smartboard, and they're dragging and dropping words to fill in that to fill in that passage, as you can see. And some suggestions from the text were to integrate technology using Plickers, Socrative, or some other class polling tool, for example, to see maybe, you could give a sentence per se, and then have the students chime in which option they would choose, or whatever. You can see who got that right or not. It said that some of the activities could have a word bank as appropriate, dragging them together enough, or maybe you could do this with vocabulary or something. So.
Okay, the next thing is summarizing. So we as teachers need to create summaries or allow the students to create the summaries. Summarizing is a skill that we need to practice frequently, it said. Interactive whiteboards, as Melissa showed, really helps the students to visualize the content. And I found this article, maybe you can just click on that and then come back out of it. Yeah, it talks about two of the better online whiteboards that you can use. If you go down, it gives you all these different apps and stuff. And I looked at a few of them. They look pretty cool. Some of them cost a lot of money, but so you won't want to play with them. But anyway.
I've used Real-Time Board. That works on Chromebooks as well. So that's a good one that was in there.
So next.
Okay. The next one is demonstration. And the teacher reviews the content and then asks the students the teacher reviews the content by asking the students to demonstrate their understanding of the content. So rather than the teacher demonstrating when you're teaching, the students demonstrate what they know. Some suggestions it gave was to vary the format by asking the students to record themselves explaining something. They could submit it to you by uploading it to Canvas possibly, or in the format of a newscast. There were some different suggestions that way. So not just, them up there teaching something, but some sort of a format you could group them together and have them create a tutorial or something. You could use one of those interactive whiteboards, or maybe even like Educreations if you've got iPads, maybe a screencast or something like that, to have them explain their knowledge of it.
Okay, then questioning. Teachers need to get the students to remember what we've talked about and be able to identify and apply the content from previous class periods. Using prior knowledge to help the students make these inferences. So a lot of these things, I think back of when I was learning or teaching kids people how to fly. They memorize all the procedures and stuff, but until we take it out and apply it, it doesn't really click. And then when you send them out solo, then it really clicks for them. And I think that's kind of what we're doing here as teachers. Get the students to use systems we use like Kahoot or Socratic. Quiz Socket, I've never used that, or the other Verso. Those were a couple others that I looked up. Students can make self-assessments, and I did this last week to see how well they understood what we were covering in history. Or you can use polling software and some of the things like PollDaddy, Felicity, or MicroPoll. And then practice the new knowledge by using Quizlet, Kahoot, Quizzes, and then try to deepen their understanding and have them create content-related questions. Again, writing their own tests or quizzes, and create presentations for the new content that you're covering. And that is all we have.
Excellent. And then, move your mouse. There you go. Well done. Okay, next is Angela. You're muted if you're trying to talk.
We can't hear you now. Can you hear us?
Oh. Sorry. I muted myself. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
My queen is so quiet.
I forget myself sometimes, and I just told Angela she's muted. I couldn't hear her because she's next. So go ahead. Sorry.
Okay.
I was just pausing for dramatic effect.
Worked out great.
All right, so I did organizing students to practice and deepen knowledge. So the first thing was to do cooperative learning. And it said to give students time to complete a task on their own and then place them in a group where they can discuss their answers. And it gave a resource for making teams. It's called Team Maker. I put the website link to that in here. I went and tried it out. It was pretty cool. You can type your student's name in and then tell how many teams you want, and it will just randomly sort your kids into different teams, and it does it really quickly.
Nice.
And then just something that I use a lot that I love, I got off of Teachers Pay Teachers. It's called sticky note math. So when my kids come in for bell work, I do this a lot. I hand them a sticky note and there's a problem on the board that they answer on their own. And then I put them in groups of 4 and they get a piece of paper and they put each of their sticky notes in a different corner and discuss and talk about it together. And then they'll come up with what they think their group's best answer is, and they write that in the center of the paper. So that's cooperative learning. And then it talked about cooperative comparisons. So again, you put students in small groups, and this time they answer a comparison question. So this would be really good if you wanted students to do some self-assessment or self-reflecting on how they're doing on a topic. So like how they're feeling about multiplying fractions now compared to when they started with multiplying fractions. And then it also talked about having them use a lot of metaphors and analogies for things as well. And then the last thing it talked about were performance and peer critiques. So giving students a final project or task to complete to show what they've learned for the unit you've just taught. And then having students complete peer reviews of those finished products so that they kind of get some practice on, it talked about giving a review, but also taking advice from their peers and taking the reviews from their peers and being able to what they should do with that information. So that's all of mine.
Thank you much. Appreciate that. And then, yeah, let's release your screen there. You got it. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, Brandon, the last one, using homework, that's also a recording. So we'll just have you guys watch that on your own time as well. So we're not recording a recording. We don't want to be like the Inception and go deep into this technology stuff. That at least deep that way, but we'll just have you guys watch that on your own time. And it's linked here and on the Canvas, our week 5 overview page. Any questions for our presenters? Okay, thank you very much. As a reminder, please go out to week 11 and just for this assignment, just submit if you have a presentation or recording, whatever. Please put the link to that and submit that as your assignment. Or if you just spoke during the seminar, just go in there and say, hey, we presented week 3, go back and watch or whatever, just so that we can remember to give you a grade for this. So appreciate that. Are there any, is Kelly, Amber, Amelia, Kaylee, or Cindy here today? They didn't get to present last week, and they just sent us a slideshow, so that won't do. If you want to, anyone here? Any of those guys here? Okay, need to reschedule, maybe get in touch with Brandon to get that done in the next week or 2. And then also, since there were 5 people in that group and we have 1 element left to be signed up for, Brandon and I would like you guys to cover element 41 during the week 12 seminar. Okay. Okay. Brandon.
Yes.
Upcoming class meeting.
Upcoming class meeting will be.
Yeah, the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, the next 2 weeks on the 15th and 22nd. We're going to be meeting at my WebEx room. I will link that in Canvas there on the home page. It is linked on this presentation. If you need the web address, it's on the bottom of the link on the presentation. Um, but we'll meet in my room, not Clint's room, for the next 2 weeks, the 15th and the 22nd. Because, Clint,
Because I'm going to be somewhere else. I'm going to be out there in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, on dry land, we hope.
you should share your screen so you can see your picture.
I'll show you that next. Yeah, we'll show you that here in a second. Yeah, but wife and I are going to Hawaii for a couple weeks. I will be thinking of you all. I promise you'll be in my thoughts, maybe at least a little bit. But I won't be checking Canvas. So if you have issues or problems or concerns or anything, let Brandon know. He is permitted or encouraged to work in my absence, or to take control and answer your questions and make decisions or whatever. He's the boss for the next couple of weeks. No pressure there, Brandon. I'm kidding. I might make a cameo with the time change and everything. If I'm because where I'm going to be during our next seminar might be interesting, and if I have cell service, I might jump into the WebEx for a minute or two, just to make you guys feel jealous or whatever. But if I don't, I apologize, but don't miss me up. But I'll be thinking about you. Any other questions or comments or anything? All right.
Well, aloha.
If not, we appreciate you guys being here today. Thanks for watching the recording. Thanks for all your hard work. We appreciate it. Let us know, Brandon know, if we can help with anything, or if you're running any problems. All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Aloha.
Thank you.
Aloha.